Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm gonna keep this short and simple because this is actually my third time attempting to record this. The first time wasn't super detailed, so I decided to scrap it and make a new one. The second time I got dropped on. I survived, thank God. But I had to scrap that one too because I wasn't able to finish it. So, Brave, we are going to keep this short and sweet and to the point. I'm mainly making this guide for it with the idea that people who are watching this guide have done some kind of ratting in the past before. My own experiences with Sancha Havens, so a lot of this will be viewed through the way you would typically do Sancha Havens. But other sites too will help you prepare for this. I am mainly making this for people who want to expand the type of sites that they're capable of doing. But if you are new to ratting, just in general, or new to Eve, this will still be pretty comprehensive, and there won't be a lot of things that I'm really leaving out, so you shouldn't be afraid to apply what you learn in this video to your future ratting endeavors. So just to jump right in, first thing that you need to be looking out for, you're getting into the Angel Haven site, is you're going to want to stay 5 kilometers underneath your maximum targeting range. For me, that's 100 kilometers because my maximum targeting range is 105 kilometers. If your maximum targeting range is, say, 90 kilometers, then you would stay at 85 kilometers. I will say the maximum or the optimal targeting range for the guns of the battleships is around 60 kilometers ish. So if you're sitting under 100 kilometers, I might look at your targeting skills and just make sure that they are all nice and trained up. If you are sitting at that 100 kilometer range, don't worry about it. Just sit at 100 kilometers. You'll be able to clear the site pretty easily. Other than that, for the first several waves, you'll basically clear them the exact same way you would a Sancha site. The only major difference, I believe, is there are frigates that can scram you, but scramming is kind of like, they scram you, it's not that big of a deal. The thing that you really don't want is for them to target your drones, because they can just delete a drone off the field. And if you're constantly having to replace drones, that means you've got quite an ISK deficit that you have to make up for, which cuts into your tics. And if we didn't want okay, and we're back. So we're on the final wave. What we're going to start doing first, before we do anything else, is align to your safe spot. I actually have the habit of having my safe spot in my locations tab, but I turned it off just so that I don't blatantly give away where I'm currently performing these activities. What we're going to do after we align to our safe spot is lock up the nearest battleships until we have only 4 battleships not locked up remaining. First thing we're going to do is, if we had a commander spawn, we would include that, and that would be the first target that we get, but we didn't get commander spawn, so we're just going to kill these 3 battleships. Some important numbers to know: your tank barely holds 3 battleships with a DPS. It is technically broken by 3 battleships, but it's not broken enough to where we really care if we're facing 3 battleships, because we'll easily wipe that before we even notice how much the tank is broken. 4 battleships is a pretty big issue if they get into your optimal, but again, you're typically able to strange. You're typically able to get one of the battleships killed before you really need to worry about your tank being broken. So you can just kind of active rep them until you get a hold on the situation. Now, we're about to come up. Once we clear these guys, we're going to clear all of these cruisers, because all of these cruisers combined equal about 1.5-ish battleships. Which means that with these 4 battleships on you and these cruisers, you will not be able to active rep them. And they'll actually force you off fairly easily. But generally you'll be able to take these cruisers out before they get to their optimal, and then you'll start fighting these guys around the time that they get to their optimal. By the time these guys get to around their optimal, you're already dealing damage to one of them, which means that you will kill one of them before they have the chance to really have a threat of pushing you off. You're in a battleship, so I would not worry about dying in this instance, especially with this guy down here. If you ever even get past 50%, cycle this a couple times and you're good. You're in a battleship though, so if you're ever in serious danger, just warp off, because battleships take forever to kill. And especially since this last wave doesn't have any frigates, there's nothing tying you down, so you just go away and you come back, finish the site. What else with this? Keep in mind, can't cycle this more than about 7-ish times before your cap dies. The worst thing to ever happen to anybody ever is the cap running out, because once these modules turn off, you're gonna have to leave. And that's true for anything, so I just suspect that you already have a good handle on that. And just to re-emphasize, if you get a commander spawn, he's going to move at you very, very quickly. I think his top velocity is somewhere around 900 meters per second. So he's going to get on you very, very quickly. You need to target him immediately, take him out, clear the rest of the wave like you typically would. The last time I got a commander spawn, I just had to cycle this 3 or 4 times. And I was good. Didn't have to worry about cap issues or anything. Cleared the site, went on. What else? One last thing, because the rest of this isn't particularly interesting. I'm just going to clear the site in the exact same way that I indicated. So now that we only have 4 battleships left, I'm going to lock up all of these cruisers, take them out one by one. If you want to be a super try-hard, I would go top-down view and just kind of judge the distance between all of these. One of the biggest things that will kill your tics in this is drone travel time. That's why a lot of people prefer sentries over drones, just because they don't have any travel time. You might be able to get away with using sentries on this site, but because you kind of have to start aligning out and getting up your speed, I wouldn't necessarily suggest it, just because you're going to leave your drones behind, or your sentries behind. And as you can see, we've been traveling for a short while, and sorry, typically this gate is up on my overview, but for security reasons, again, don't have it up. We have already traveled almost 40 kilometers, so that's going to be quite a trip back. I need to pay a little bit more attention. You're not in much danger, though, of getting forced off in this scenario, especially without the commander spawn. So a little bit of indecision or a little bit of mismanagement's not that big of a deal, so don't worry about it too much. Another thing, you will want to have velocity and transversal up, just because that's something you should always have up. That's one of the core mechanics of the game. You should always be aware of what velocity and transversals are. So if you don't have this up, I guarantee you need to have it up. It's not super important in this scenario, but if you'll notice, the velocities are around 200. Typically they'll spike around 300 meters per second. And I've got 121 meters per second. That means I have a buffer time of about 30% more until they reach their optimal. And again, not paying super attention, but not in a lot of danger here right now. That was kind of a mid-size spawn. These havens have a variety of amount of ships that can spawn on a site. I don't know what the exact range is for this, but you'll see a different amount of battleships and cruisers for each wave, especially for the final wave. I think it's just randomly generated, but you won't get so many battleships or cruisers that it'll change how you do the site. Oh, that was kind of a tangent. I hope that any of that made sense to anybody. I'm trying to get a lot of information out in a short amount of time. So make sure you have these on. One of the main reasons why, especially I got into havens, is because the ability to sell escalations you might gain from these. Escalations are just kind of like these sites, only with compartmentalized rooms and treasure at the end, basically, just to sum it up. We are one of the few alliances that actually has a dedicated channel. I say dedicated loosely, but a dedicated channel to selling these sites. Because Legacy is in one of the only areas that has sites that are worth doing. So if you end up actually getting an escalation, don't want to do it. The payout equals about 2 hours of doing this, so it is definitely worth selling. Back in the day, people would do these sites exclusively just to get and sell those escalations. That was the bulk of the money they'd make from doing this. That and salvaging, looting, stuff like that. But the escalation spawn rate has been significantly nerfed, so I wouldn't go into these sites expecting to get a consistent escalation payout. It used to be that you could get about one a day just doing this, and doing it in a dreader carrier, you could get like 3 or 4 a day. That is no longer the case. I've done about 15 and haven't gotten a single one. But if you do get one, you should definitely either consider doing it or selling it, because they're worth quite a bit. Oh, what else? Tics. I would expect around a 12 million per site. Per tick, sorry, not per site. It'll take you about 40 minutes, so about 24 million per site. If you're doing it in a system that has a maximum bounty payout, then probably expect around 40-ish million total per site, about 19 million per tick. And that's after taxes, which isn't the most money you could possibly make per hour in this game, but for the amount of effort you have to put in and the relatively low risk and low penalty to losing your ship, because these aren't particularly expensive ships, it's actually quite a bit to be making, because this is not a hard thing to do. Again, it was very popularly done semi-AFK. And you're not putting a lot up. There's not a lot of risk for the amount of reward that you're getting. So generally, it's a great thing to do in the background while you're either doing work, watching a video, or watching TV. Maybe you have an alt on a fleet. I wouldn't go fully AFK just because losing it is kind of a hassle, and you will have to pay out to get a new one. And it does take a relatively long time just to cover the cost of purchasing one, especially if you're not doing one in a maximum multiplier system. So yeah, I don't have anything else to add. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy, low stress. even if you do end up getting ganked, it's not the end of the world. It's not like losing a carrier or a dreadnought or some big capital ship. I mean, it's not a work roll. You don't need people to come out and save you. So it's just a great thing to be doing on the side. Yeah, that's about all I got. This wave's about to finish up, and I'll warp off the site. Hopefully I get an escalation, but I somewhat doubt it. That's all for me. If you have questions, feel free to message me either in game or on Slack, Apollo Kingdom. If I'm not on either of them, just hit me a mail in game. Or I guess you can just hit me a message in game and I'll respond to it at some point. But if you're not on our Slack, just send me a mail in game and I'll get back to you as soon as I see it. And that's all from me. Well, actually, I've never done one of these videos, so I'll just wrap it up with good luck, everyone, and fly brave, guys.